Alright guys, I meant to make a video this week, but it was a very stressful, a very busy week, so I didn't get around to making a couple of the music reviews I want to do. So here I'm just going to do another movie review of another movie I saw last night at about 2 in the morning. I decided I was going to watch this, and I don't know why, and I'm very tired now. But the movie was The Devil's Rejects. If you've seen my first movie review for House of a Thousand Corpses, of which a link will be posted to here, that this is the sequel to that. And for context on the characters and stuff, watch the first video because I'm not explaining them all again. But essentially, this movie is about that same serial killer, psycho family running because one of the cops that they killed in the first movie, his brother, like, he wants revenge on them. So they're running away, except not the whole family's running because the mother, Mother Firefly, Mama Firefly gets caught by the police, and there are a couple scenes of her being interrogated, and Tiny Firefly, who is like the giant with the deformed face, the actor Matthew McGrory actually died during the filming of this movie. He died at the age of 32 of natural causes, I read, but that seems a little strange. But he was like 7'6", and he had like a size 30 shoe. So I think when you're that big, it's you don't actually live that long because of some sort of chemical imbalance in your body. But don't quote me on that. Because there's no extraneous reason for his death. And he almost always plays a giant in a movie. If you might have seen him in other movies, such as, like, what other movies has he been in? In Bubble Boy, he was in Bubble Boy. He played a giant in that. He was making a movie about Andre the Giant's life when he died. That would have been interesting to see. But anyway, so this movie was dedicated to him, and he gets a small role in it because he died, I guess, during the filming. So essentially, the family is running away from the cops, and they hide in this motel, and they meet up with Baby, who's actually played by Sherri Zombie, who is Rob Zombie's wife. Rob Zombie's the director of this movie, in case you decided not to watch the first video. They meet up, the character played by Bill Moseley, Baby, and Captain Spaulding meet up at this motel. And Captain Spaulding's character was very ambiguous in the first movie. He was always kind of creepy, but he was also sort of a comic relief character in the first movie. But in this one, you find out from the onset that he's Baby's father, his real father. So then you kind of wonder what Bill Moseley's character is like, how they are attached in any way. And also, the grandfather from the first movie is nowhere to be seen in this movie. He just completely disappears. I don't know what happened to him. That's a little strange. But so they meet up, and so Captain Spaulding's character, so you find out he's evil, I guess, because he's on the serial killer side, but he's always sort of reluctant when they're brutally murdering people, so you're still kind of stuck in between, and he's kind of a likable guy. He says funny things. But I think it kind of ruined his character to take the ambiguity away, because I think that's what I liked about him, that I didn't know whether he was secretly an evil guy or if he was just like a clown, just, working for his money in a gas station. And I kind of like that about him, and in that sense it's ruined. But I digress. So they're running away, and this cop is like making an intensive search for them while they're brutally murdering people in the hotel, just so that they can cover up all their traces and stuff. And this is much less of a horror movie than the first one. It has horror elements because there's still some brutal killings, but since the serial killers are the ones on the run, it's not as scary. And they do some of the same gags, like cutting off someone's face and then wearing it over their face. Actually, there's a lot of scenes from the first movie that are repeated in reverse later in the movie, which I'll explain. So eventually. Oh, and by the way, Brian Posehn, the comedian, has a cameo in this movie, and he's badass. So then eventually this cop Wydell hires two mercenaries, played by, listen to this, Danny Trejo, yes, Machete, and Diamond Dallas Page, yes, DDP. For all you wrestling fans out there, they play two mercenaries, and the scene, the 10 minutes that they're in the movie, is by far my favorite part in the movie. They are two of the most perfect castings ever as just these mercenaries that sort of, they're really badass, but they also think they're a lot more badass than they actually are, um, and so they're hired by Wydell, who is the cop, the, the detective, to find and beat the serial killers up, so that, and then bring them back to him so that he can like fucking get his revenge on them, and so they meet up at this sort of whorehouse, where Captain Spaulding had a mutual friend who he only refers to as brother the whole time, who is actually a funny guy, and but he rats on them essentially, and he gets them caught, and then they come back, and Wydell fucking gets his revenge on them. And what's weird is this is a strange scene in the movie because you see him doing horrible things, but to the serial killers. So it's sort of like the roles are reversed. Like he's gone so crazy, just trying to find these people who killed his brother, that he becomes like one of them. Um, but, but, at the same time, it feels so sweet because the movie does build up very well. His character is built very well. Through his whole investigation, he finds out they got all their names from Groucho Marx movies and stuff, Marx Brothers movies, and he's interrogating the woman, and he has this obsession with Elvis. There's a hilarious scene where there's like a Groucho Marx fanatic who knows all of his movies and stuff, and he says that the only reason Groucho Marx's death wasn't more famous was because Elvis died 3 days later, and then the detective loves Elvis, and they get into this fight. It's great. His character is built up very well as he keeps getting more and more emotional over the movie. So eventually gets his revenge on them, and he goes wild, and they start repeating some of the same scenes from the first movie, but this time he's doing it to the serial killer, so I thought that was interesting. But then at the end, Tiny comes in, and he does save Baby and Bill Moseley's character, who I cannot remember for the life of me, which is annoying because I looked it up right before I did this review. And they try to drive away, but they drive into a police barricade. And the last scene is a really interesting scene because, as usual from this series of movies, from these two movies, they essentially just go out all guns a-blazing. Like, they know they're going to die, but they just pull out their shotguns and just start firing at the police. And what's weird about this is they play a very happy song, something that Rob Zombie didn't do in House of a Thousand Corpses a lot, but did do here, playing very happy music during violent scenes. And during the violent scenes, he used a lot of slow motion. I think actually a little too much slow motion. It was like unnecessarily slow. It was like those baseball instant replays where they have the mega slow motion, and that I didn't like. But this scene was almost like a great family moment in a way, and it's so weird because it's like the whole time you just want them to be caught, you just want them to die. The revenge felt so sweet when Wydell got it on them, but then in this scene you almost feel bad for them that they're gonna die. You're like, wow, I actually really like these characters. So it's weird. It ends up being like a really happy family moment at the end of the movie, and I thought that was sort of a good twist. So I actually think this movie was better than House of a Thousand Corpses. It wasn't trying as hard to be a cult horror film, and it actually built up the characters and the story a little better. So for once, or well, not for once, but one of the few times the sequel is actually better than the original. I can give this a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. It wasn't a great movie by any means, but very entertaining, and it had a nice twist at the end, and the characters were built up much better. It was less just random brutal murderings, although there are enough of those to keep anyone entertained. Also, I like Bill Moseley's character better in this movie. I don't know why. There's just something about him that is... I know this seems like psycho, but he seems really likable for some reason. He says really funny shit all the time. But anyway, pointless. Too long of a review, but y'all needed a video from me, so you got it. All right, bye.